Hi, I'm Dr. Ellen Joan Nelson, and on this channel I talk about my research which focuses on working parents with a sort of specific focus on working mums. And I talk about how the current construct of work of 9 to 5 which does not align with the school schedule is problematic. It's a problem for working parents, but it's also a problem for organisations. So today I want to talk a little bit about this concept of presenteeism. And I'll relate it back to an old boss I used to work with, and he was very, very focused on presenteeism. So he felt that it was so important for staff to be in the office for the set hours that they were paid for. And, goodness knows there was no way that he was going to pay anyone for hours that they weren't at the office. And I found this really interesting because, first of all, it doesn't really motivate staff. And it's also this really kind of warped way of looking at productivity. So in his head, he felt very much that if someone was at the office and they were at their desk, they were working, and therefore he was happy to pay them for that. But if they weren't at the office, they weren't working as far as he was concerned. But what this meant is that there were people on the team who would work there 9 to 5, they sit at the office, who, to be completely honest, for some of the hours of the day, they were pretty rubbish. They would waste time looking at social media. They would be, doing, online shopping, browsing the internet for various things. They would be, chit-chatting away with colleagues. But no one kind of cared because, they were at the office, they were sitting at their desk, and therefore they were productive and the boss was happy to pay them. Now, I'm not saying I never chit-chat or look at social media or the internet while I'm at work either. I mean, I do, we're all guilty of it. But the point is, it was really interesting that was his idea or reference point of what equated to productive work. Then there were these two other people in the team, they were both mums, and they both had reduced hours contracts. So they finished, can't remember the exact hours, but they finished before 3 o'clock anyway, so they could do school pickup. And he was very, very determined that, no, well, I'm not going to be paying them a cent after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not paying them for hours that they're not here. But what was really frustrating, I found, on behalf of these mothers, is that both of them ended up actually doing a bit of work in the evenings anyway. But of course, that didn't count as far as the boss was concerned because, that wasn't at the office and it wasn't between 9 and 5. But even when they didn't work in the evenings, when they were at work between, I think it must have been 9 and 3 or something like that, they were really, really efficient. They didn't waste time on social media, well, certainly not anywhere near as much as the other staff. They didn't waste time chit-chatting. When they were at work, they were really, really productive and they got their job done. And I always found it really, really frustrating because originally they had been full-time workers, and then when they came back from maternity leave and they reduced their hours, was it maternity leave? Maybe they did, sorry, I can't actually remember the exact details. But the point is they were previously full-time employees and then they became part-time employees. But their workload did not change one bit. They had the exact same workload, they had the exact same outputs, the exact same KPIs and responsibilities, no change to any of that whatsoever. But of course their pay got reduced. So they went, I think both of them were full-time workers, and that one became, might have been a 0.7 of an FTE full-time equivalent or something like that. And so therefore their pay got reduced by 30%. But they were doing the exact same workload. And the boss was so ingrained in his head, well, I'm not paying them for I'm not paying them a cent for after 3 o'clock because they're not working for us. And I always remember thinking, man, that's bullshit. First of all, these two mums actually do a bit of work in the evenings anyway. But regardless of that, who cares if they're doing less hours but completing the same outputs? Surely they should just be paid the same amount for it. And so it's this really archaic idea of bosses who think, no, I'll only pay people for the hours that they're at the office. What a rubbish situation. Because actually these two mums were two of the most productive people in the organisation because they were actually completing their workload in a shorter period of time, meaning they were highly efficient and highly productive. And instead of being rewarded for that, it was the complete opposite. They were penalised. They got a pay cut for it. And on top of that, they were constantly made to feel like, they should feel lucky for having the opportunity to work part-time. And, aren't they, what a lucky position they're in to have a boss that, isn't he a good bugger because he lets them work part-time. Instead of being like, wow, they're actually really, really good and we should reward them for that. So I always find it really interesting. And interesting, not in a good way, as in we need to change this, right? So we need to look at what are the outputs that we want our people to do, and we pay them for those outputs. So if people do them in less hours, then bloody good on them. Don't give them a pay cut. Reward them for their efficiency. Thanks very much.